Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great because I am doing fantastic. I've been once again spending way too much time on a little $100 device that everybody has seemed to love, but I feel is still very underappreciated in some areas. And here I want to show you something that I think is fantastic. What you're seeing right now is myself playing online multiplayer with another device. Zero issues. Now, why is that impressive? Maybe to many of you, you never gave it any thought or never tried to utilize it when you purchased your first Retroid Pocket 2, especially by booting it into the Android side. Maybe on the Retroid OS launcher, because that had a sort of uh, built-in multiplayer function from what I've heard. But on the Android side, I know that there was very few people that I saw myself online talk about it. The one video that I saw that covered playing multiplayer on the Retroid Pocket 2 that went into some detail to get it running pretty well on games that were not simply 2D games was by the YouTuber ETland. She does great videos on devices like the Retroid Pocket 2 and on Switch emulation and a bunch of other things. So you should definitely check her out. But I remember from the past that she made a video on playing Monster Hunter on the PSP emulator using the Retroid Pocket 2, and she even showed her settings, and it was with many hacks enabled and configurations, just being able to get it to steadily run. It was not the best, but it was doable. This right here that you're seeing simply has the minimum settings that I have done to get many games running at 2x resolution, while before with the original Retroid Pocket 2 you had to do it at native, and still you had some issues depending on how demanding the game would be, and that's not even talking multiplayer. This is great. This works fantastic. You saw the previous two games, and I now want to show you actually Monster Hunter on the PSP. And that's me playing with someone else, and it looks pretty well. I got to the point that I got so excited that I even took the device from the other person just to show it off, and you'll see me swapping hands eventually. But it runs well. There's no lag, there's no issue on sound. And the setup is actually very simple. So yeah, as you can see, even changing to different areas, there is very little change. I'm actually going to go ahead and show you the settings that are currently enabled, and this is what I have set up for both devices. So in short, I just run everything under OpenGL. I go ahead and have everything like usual with an auto frame skip of 1, obviously, so it can only be used when it needs to. The CPU clock speed, I still keep it at the same. rendering solution. I still have it at 2x resolution, and with the same filters. That's the last video that I posted. Now, when it comes to the multiplayer, really all you want to go ahead and do is simply go ahead to the networking tab, and then you want to go ahead and make sure that things like enable networking is checkmarked. Set the Discord rich presence information. I've heard that you don't need it set up, but the guy that I followed did have it, so I went ahead and I still did that myself. Things like enable network chat, you can go ahead and set up. I do that. And two important things is going to be, first, the port offset. I set it up to that maximum value of the 60,000. I'll be honest, exactly why that value, I've heard that it's because it's how you get the best compatibility. So I've kept it both on both devices, and I've tried this with other devices that are not the Retroid Pocket 2, and I still do the same thing, and it works perfect. It's always very responsive connecting, so I keep it at that. And then the other one is you make sure that you have things like the enable built-in pro ad hoc server check marked, and where it says change pro ad hoc server IP address, that one right there, you want to go ahead and have that changed every time if you want to play multiplayer. And what you can do is that when you tap on it, it'll show you just like the screen here. You want to go ahead and just tap or press A on toggle list, and it'll show you several suggestions. The very bottom one will be your IP address, but it changes every time you start the emulator, the SSPP emulator, and then you always want to select it. And for the second player, they just want to go ahead and copy the first player's address, so that way they can connect together. And that's mainly what you want to do. And in short, all you want to go ahead and do is just, you're playing both the same game, one of you starts to connect to multiplayer, whichever the settings that might be. So like in the case of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, you go into that guild lobby area and proceed to be in that waiting hall, and then have the second person come in, and when they go ahead and connect the line, you should be able to see them walk in if you follow the correct steps. When it comes to other games like Dissidia, just you build a lobby first, and then you have the second person scan and look for that lobby once they're connected, and they should be able to see the lobby by the name that you give it or the icon that you give it. So I'm very happy with the results of this. And for now, I did have somebody that had requested to see Silent Hill Origins, how it performs here. And I pretty much used the same settings overall. There was a few times that for some scenes I had to change the settings because there were some issues with like flickering or like certain objects not showing properly. Like in the case of the first monster or creature that you see, for some reason I just know that I changed the resolution down to 1x and it worked fine, and then I changed it back to 2x and then it didn't happen again. Why exactly it started working normally afterwards, I do not currently know, but yeah, that was something that did happen. So just, if you choose to play this game, just make sure you're aware of that. Oh, and the person's name is Alex. Alex, I know it was 2 weeks, but hopefully you can see here that it does work, and thank you for your patience. Very well, everyone. I do appreciate you giving the time to listen to me go over this, and Next up, I am going to just finalize looking into multiplayer, because I think we've been able to see that the device is pretty solid to run multiplayer. It has a few flaws with certain games that, in my opinion, should be running multiplayer. But it's going to go ahead and round up with two things that I've been enjoying pretty well, and that's going to be Nintendo 64 multiplayer. Runs really well, and there's some nice things that I was able to find and get them working on both devices. And also mobile gaming, playing online. I've heard a lot that people were saying that there were some games that they couldn't run. I understand that certain things like Genshin Impact don't run. I've tried it, and unless somebody else knows how to get it to boot up, to me it just wasn't booting up. But there was a lot of mobile games that people even said would not boot up at all. Things like Rocket League that I just found myself being able to play completely fine with the controls without doing any sort of like complicated controller setup or mapping or any of that. It was just as close to plug and play as you can imagine. And hopefully I won't take more than 5 days to get ahead and wrap that up. Usually with me being busy and doing this every few moments that I have free of my work schedule. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Y'all have a great time.
Was she hurt? She was burned all over. Are you a relative? What did you say her name was? I don't know her name. I was the one who saved her from the fire. She must have been brought here. Is there another hospital? I'm sorry. Perhaps someone in reception could help you. I have urgent business to attend to. Goodbye.